Welcome to the Young and the Restless Daily YAPP, your speedy, and by that, we mean halfway done, recap of the most amazing or wait, what just happened? Moments on today's episode. Let's get into it. On The Young and the Restless, Aristotle Dumas' summer gathering at his estate in the French Riviera clearly wasn't a last-minute decision. Though he's only been part of Genoa City business circles for the last 6 years, Dumas has been investing plenty of time and effort into his French retreat. We learned that Dumas even has his own private train that goes straight to the estate. Complete with a custom train station and in-car screens, it's about as exclusive as it gets. The first group of guests has now arrived, and while it may be styled like something out of Murder on the Orient Express, the mismatched group and lighthearted tone felt more like a luxury reboot of the S.S. Minnow. Nikki and Victor came dressed in travel-ready elegance of the Howells. Sharon was sweet and observant like Mariah. Nick channeled a very responsible professor vibe, and Billy and Sally think Gilligan and Ginger. The ride may have been brief, but the real challenge starts at their destination. A full-on hedge maze awaits them. This is apparently just the first challenge, so we're definitely in for more. Who knows, maybe they'll need to solve puzzles or build teamwork to move forward. And that mysterious voice at the end of the episode, that was unmistakably Billy Flynn. Want more details? We've got you covered. Soap Central has all the full lie and R recaps, and yes, you can go back over 30 years if you're feeling nostalgic. Can't wait until the next episode. Check out the daily previews too. Whatever you do this weekend, make sure you don't forget to check out the 2 Scoops column. It's as close to a watch party as you can get without being on the show. Agree or disagree with our take? Let us know in the comments. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Let's dive into today's video. On the Monday, June 16th episode of The Young and the Restless, Dumas guests boarded a luxury train. Adam pushed back on Victor's plans, and Nate suggested that Holden consider moving on from town. At the athletic club bar, Nate messaged Audra to ask for an update once she landed. Holden approached, and the two exchanged polite greetings. Nate recommended that Holden raise any workplace concerns in the proper channels. Holden responded that his issues weren't with Nate personally, he just didn't feel things had been handled fairly. Holden shared that he felt opportunities had been taken from him. Nate replied that Dumas had made challenging decisions that impacted multiple people, not just Holden. Holden remarked that others seemed to land in more comfortable spots, but Nate reminded him that he had turned down a promising offer himself. Holden clarified that he wasn't looking for favors and said he'd overheard Damien and Lily discussing the job offer, which in his view came from a place of obligation rather than merit. Still, he expressed confidence in forging his own path. Nate wished him well in whatever he pursued next. Holden mentioned that Audra had spoken highly of him and was curious what else she had shared. He speculated about their time in LA, but noted Audra wasn't the type to disclose everything. Nate said she'd shared only what she felt was important, and that was more than enough for him. When Holden continued to reference their past, Nate asked why it kept coming up. Holden assured him he wasn't trying to cause tension. He simply wanted to explain the familiarity. Nate stated he wasn't concerned and suggested Holden talk to someone trained to help if he wanted to work through unresolved feelings. Holden apologized if he came off the wrong way. Nate replied that he just found Holden's persistence a bit much and recommended a fresh start elsewhere. Holden chuckled, noting that others might see Nate's suggestion as a reaction to his history with Audra. Nate asked whether Holden had any new opportunities in Genoa City, aside from the one he already declined. Holden indicated that he hadn't started looking yet, but he liked it there. Nate wondered what was keeping Holden in town when life seemed to be pointing him in a new direction. Holden acknowledged that the point was fair. Most of his business contacts and friends were in LA, but he still preferred to stick around Genoa City for a while. Nate received a text message from Audra, confirming that she'd landed. Holden assumed Audra had arrived in Paris, and he explained that she'd mentioned the trip during a recent conversation. Nate questioned whether Audra had truly told Holden about her plans, or if he had overheard something again. Nate firmly told Holden to respect their space if he planned to remain in town. At Society, Chelsea spoke at length to Adam about a marketing meeting, but he seemed distracted. He remarked that they were on a tight deadline before Victor realized they hadn't moved forward with a public relations campaign concerning Billy. Chelsea suspected Victor might be focused on his upcoming meeting with Dumas. Adam noted that Victor never let details slip through the cracks, and he was determined to challenge Billy's public image. Adam admitted he was running out of ideas to shift Victor's attention unless something unexpected came along. He wondered if his father had been serious about knowing Dumas' real identity. Adam joked that it might be worth going to France just to witness the meeting between two strong-willed individuals. Chelsea asked if Victor would ever admit anyone could rival him. Absolutely not, Adam confirmed. He predicted that Dumas might second-guess his decisions after meeting Victor, as Adam always counted on his father's ability to influence outcomes. Chelsea said she wished she and Adam could take a few days to focus on running their business without outside pressure. Adam reminded her that Victor still had significant influence, so he called the shots. Chelsea considered how they might explain the missed deadline, but Adam believed they were only postponing the tough conversation with Victor. Chelsea disliked that their work had been positioned to damage Billy's reputation as part of a personal agenda. Adam suggested the real focus was Jack, and that Victor saw Dumas as a potential strategic partner in business. Adam argued they didn't need to distort facts. Billy's past business decisions alone would likely raise questions, particularly regarding his time at Chancellor, which Victor wanted to see protected. Adam was confident Victor would notice if the campaign didn't launch soon. Chelsea expressed her frustration that Adam was placed in such a situation, but Adam saw it as part of his role in the family legacy. Chelsea urged him to think about how this could affect Connor, who might eventually learn about their involvement in the campaign. Adam announced that he had decided not to move forward with publishing anything, and he would handle the consequences. Chelsea was visibly moved and told him she couldn't express how much that meant to her. Adam admitted the decision felt right to him too. A surprised Chelsea revealed that she'd expected Adam to follow through with Victor's plan, even over her objections. Adam acknowledged that there was a time he might have done exactly that without thinking twice, but he didn't want to make those kinds of decisions anymore, especially where she and Connor were concerned. Adam emphasized that he wanted their relationship to last, even if it meant navigating some difficult moments with his family. Chelsea told him she'd waited a long time to hear those words, and she believed him. Adam promised not to take her for granted, explaining that he had fallen back in love with her and didn't want to risk losing what they had. As they left the restaurant, Chelsea embraced Adam. She shared that she had also fallen back in love with him, and he smiled, saying that maybe they'd finally figured things out. They expressed how much they cared for each other and shared a heartfelt moment. In the south of France, Victor, Nikki, Nick, and Sharon explored the luxurious amenities on Aristotle Dumas' private train. Sharon admired the elegant sleeping cars, while Nikki and Nick commented on the impressive spread of champagne and caviar. Sharon noticed that Victor had been quiet, and Nick joked that his dad was probably thinking about how to install a train like that on the ranch. Nikki guessed that Victor was just getting a feel for the situation before any business talks began. Sharon thanked Nikki for allowing her to join them on the Newman jet, and Nikki pointed out that she couldn't say no to Nick. Sharon then spotted an envelope labeled "Welcome" and assumed it had been intended for Victor. Victor opened it and read a message encouraging them to relax and enjoy the final leg of their journey before the main event. The sum of all human wisdom is contained in the two words wait and hope, he continued. Victor recognized the words from the Count of Monte Cristo. Nikki wondered whether it was safe to eat and drink, and Sharon grew visibly anxious. Nikki apologized for her thoughtless comment, especially after Sharon had recently experienced a health scare. Sharon admitted that she'd been so caught up in the elegance that she'd almost forgotten there was still uncertainty about their mysterious host, and she decided to pass on the champagne and caviar. Nick reassured Sharon that everything had been vetted, and he was there to make sure everyone stayed comfortable. Victor asked when the other guests were expected, and he suspected Dumas had only invited families from Genoa City. Nick was puzzled by how Dumas had accumulated his wealth so quickly, and Nikki and Sharon speculated about whether it came from a family inheritance or unconventional business ventures. Victor stated that Dumas' rise had likely happened through means they couldn't even begin to imagine. Nikki asked if Victor knew who Dumas really was. Billy and Sally entered the train car, and the group exchanged polite but strained greetings. Billy asked what Victor believed Dumas had planned for them. Victor curtly replied that the only thing that would become clear over the next few days was Billy's usual lack of direction, suggesting Dumas had merely included him for entertainment value. Nick urged everyone to stay calm, but Billy insisted he could handle any challenge. When Billy asked about Cole, Nikki explained that Victoria and Claire had accompanied him to Chicago to meet with a specialist. Victor added that Victoria was also monitoring things at Newman Enterprises, and asked who was looking after Billy's latest venture. Sally proudly shared that Abbott Communications was gaining momentum, and soon everyone would be talking about it. As the train bells rang, she noted that not everyone had arrived yet. Sharon asked if Sally was disappointed Phyllis hadn't made the train. "Are you?" Sally replied with a knowing smile. Nick guessed that Dumas' plan might involve staggering the guest arrivals to prevent them from sharing information. Billy joked that it would never be a case of all for one and one for all, and Victor criticized him for not taking things seriously. Billy retorted that he took Victor seriously because he understood how much was at stake. He commented that Victor had more to lose, suggesting that Dumas' interest was centered around Chancellor. Victor countered that Billy offered little of strategic value, and Dumas was likely just humoring him. Sharon reminded everyone that Victor had been about to reveal what he knew about Dumas. Victor denied that he'd ever confirmed knowledge of Dumas' identity, and playfully remarked that it wasn't one of Billy's card games. Billy replied that the stakes still felt significant. Victor confidently said that wherever the journey led, they would eventually meet Aristotle Dumas. Nikki asked if they should expect to be surprised or unsettled by who Dumas was. Victor simply shrugged and claimed he didn't know. "It won't be long now," a man said quietly as he observed them through a surveillance feed. At Society, Chelsea chatted with Adam about how energized she felt at work, especially since they could now use their platform to make a positive impact. She noticed he seemed distracted and guessed something was bothering him. Adam admitted he was worried about missing a deadline and the fallout from not issuing a scheduled media release about Billy. Chelsea thought Victor was probably too busy traveling to notice, but Adam wasn't so sure. She expressed frustration at how trivial it all seemed and asked if there was another issue that might redirect Victor's attention. Adam was out of ideas and noted that her earlier effort to influence the situation hadn't worked. She joked lightheartedly that maybe her persuasive edge had worn off. As they discussed the events unfolding in France, Adam said it would be interesting to see his father matched by someone just as strategic. He wondered if Dumas might come to regret stepping into the spotlight, but Chelsea believed Dumas had anticipated whatever response might come his way. Adam said his father always aimed to stay in control, and he'd always bet on him. Chelsea noted that Adam clearly still admired him. Adam admitted there was a part of him that did, considering everything Victor had built. Chelsea wished they could set everything else aside and focus on running the company the right way. Adam reminded her that for now, they were still operating in Victor's domain, and he held the final word. They resumed brainstorming ways to delay the media release, though Adam felt their options were limited. Chelsea sighed, frustrated that they couldn't seem to get ahead of the pressure. Adam explains that Jack is the bigger focus, and this all seems to be part of a plan involving the Abbotts. He assumes his father wants to work with Dumas to address the situation. His father is determined to protect Chancellor, which is why he's so eager for the articles to be released. She asks if going along just to keep the peace is their only option. As they nervously move through their meal, Adam and Chelsea fail to come up with any ideas to divert his father's attention. There will be serious consequences if Adam doesn't proceed with this tonight. Chelsea reminds him how much this could affect Connor, who is still close to Billy. After some hesitation, Adam decides that they will not publish any of the articles. This will certainly upset Victor, and he'll have to manage the consequences. Chelsea expresses how much this means to her. She's surprised that Adam has agreed to her request. Adam knows he's made mistakes with most of the second chances he's been given, but he's fallen back in love with her and sees her as a wonderful gift he doesn't deserve. He wouldn't risk that for anything. Leaving, they embrace in the cool night air. Chelsea tells Adam she's fallen back in love with him too. They feel grateful to have finally figured things out, even if it took a long time. They express their feelings and share a tender moment. At the club bar, Nate sends Audra a text asking her to let him know when she lands. Holden drifts through the foyer and sits down beside him. Things are immediately tense. Nate knows he has some issues with his brother, but doesn't want to address them right now. Holden has no problem with Nate, but says Damien is someone who took everything from him. Nate reminds him they offered him a job, and it wasn't just a favor. Holden doesn't accept that. He overheard Lily and Damien talking, and it's clear the job had more to do with Damien's sense of responsibility. He's sure he can do better. Nate wishes him luck and suggests that Dumas is the person he should be upset with. But Holden is just disappointed he didn't recognize Damien's true character sooner. Trying to stay positive, Nate suggests this could work out for the best and point him toward his own path. Holden presses Nate for details about what Audra has told him regarding their past. It would be typical of her to keep some details private. He smiles and says they are all entitled to their secrets. Nate narrows his eyes at him. Clearly annoyed, he snaps that they've all had other relationships. Holden insists he's not trying to suggest anything. Firmly, Nate repeats that he doesn't care and suggests he find someone he can pay to listen because this is getting frustrating. Nate urges Holden to go back to LA and make some new memories. This makes Holden laugh. He thinks Nate is more bothered about his connection to Audra than he admits and assumes Nate wants him out of the way. He claims that he wants to stick around because the people are so friendly. Nate makes it clear he doesn't trust him and can't understand what is keeping him there since he has no friends, no job, and no clear prospects. It feels like the universe is sending him a sign to take a different path out of Genoa City. As they exchange sharp words, Nate repeats his encouragement for Holden to return to LA. Holden agrees his arguments make sense, but he's grown to like Genoa City and plans to stay. Audra sends Nate a text. Holden assumes she's made it to France and admits he heard she was going to meet Dumas. Nate guesses he learned that from overhearing again. Finishing his drink, Nate stands and urges Holden to stay out of their lives. Once Nate has left, Holden smirks to himself. In the south of France, Nick, his parents, and Sharon slowly board the elegant private train that Dumas has arranged for them. Sharon starts admiring the surroundings. and Nikki jokes that she hopes Sharon doesn't get motion sickness. Nick looks for the caviar and Nikki admires the champagne labels while Victor surveys everything carefully. Nick jokes that his dad must be considering a train for the ranch. His wife assumes he's preparing himself for the upcoming events. As they settle in, Sharon finds a welcome letter. Assuming it is meant for Victor, she hands it to him. With a small sigh, he opens it and finds a card encouraging them to relax and enjoy this part of the journey before the main event. The sum of all human wisdom is contained in the 2 words, wait and hope, he reads aloud. Who does this guy think he is? Victor asks with a chuckle. Nikki starts wondering if it's safe to eat and drink. Sharon starts to feel uneasy, and Nikki quickly apologizes for her earlier joke. Sharon reminds everyone about a recent unsettling experience with a mysterious man, which explains why she's on edge. She decides to pass on the champagne and caviar until they know more about who they are dealing with. Nick begins eating the caviar, and Sharon soon changes her mind and asks for some champagne. They discuss why Dumas might be focusing on families from Genoa City. They wonder where he might have gotten his fortune, whether it was through hard work or family inheritance. Victor shuts down the speculation, saying, he made his ascent in ways you can't imagine. His son takes this as a hint that Victor knows Dumas' identity. Before Victor can say more, Billy and Sally join them. After some awkward greetings, Billy wonders what Dumas could have planned for everyone. Victor responds with a pointed comment about Billy's abilities. He smirks as Billy starts serving himself caviar. Billy asks about Cole and Claire, and Victor makes a few lighthearted remarks about Billy's recent projects. Sally and Billy toast to their efforts. The train they're on begins to move. They notice that Phyllis and other guests haven't arrived yet. It seems the train is making several stops. Billy asks Victor if he's ready to enter Dumas' realm. Victor replies with a quick, "Are you?" Nick guesses that they might be arriving in staggered groups as part of a strategy. Sally admires the champagne, and Victor jokes that Dumas is just making sure they're well prepared. He continues to tease Billy, saying he might be in over his head. Billy insists that Victor's only trying to protect Chancellor, the company he took over. As they continue their back and forth, Sharon reminds Victor that he was supposed to reveal who Dumas is. Victor says he's never claimed to know, then laughs and adds, "Wherever this journey takes us, by the end of it, we will all meet Aristotle Dumas." His wife asks if that will surprise or upset them. Victor shrugs and says, "I don't know." In a quiet room, a man watches them on the train through a closed-circuit TV. "It won't be long now," he says. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, June 17, reveal that Victor Newman will come to someone's aid while 2 guests cause tension ahead of Aristotle Dumas' celebration. As partygoers prepare for what's next, Nikki Newman will find herself feeling uneasy, likely due to the presence of Nick Newman's former acquaintances, since Nikki isn't particularly fond of Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers. Being stuck with Phyllis and Sharon won't be Nikki's idea of a good time. Phyllis may make a dramatic entrance on the train and try to draw attention. Her antics can be annoying, so it's easy to see why Nikki might get frustrated. However, Victor will help Nikki shake off her bad mood and make the most of the trip. Perhaps Nikki and Victor will share some quiet moments as they look forward to the main event of Dumas' festivities. As for Phyllis, she plans to do whatever it takes to strike a deal with Dumas and secure a big professional win. She will settle in ahead of the party and look forward to impressing Dumas when they finally meet. Phyllis is known for taking risks, so she's prepared to be bold once again. Billy will also stir things up, causing some tension and nice. When Billy pursues plans that Sally Spectra doesn't agree with, friction arises between them. Sally hopes Billy will behave well, but he shows his determined side with a plan that might lead to complications. Once Sally learns about Billy's intentions, she will worry that trouble may be on the horizon. She will try to put her foot down, but it's unclear if Billy will listen. Meanwhile, Dumas watches his guests closely through camera feeds. Phyllis isn't aware, but she's already under observation as Dumas studies her confident demeanor. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that the reveal of Dumas' identity will have a big impact later in the week of June 16 to 20, so don't miss the upcoming drama. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that a new preview video for the week of June 16 to 20 introduces Billy Flynn's Aristotle Dumas and features an unsettled Sharon Newman as she observes Phyllis Summers and Nick Newman spending time together. The latest promo hints at an intriguing summer storyline set in France, highlighting some key players involved in the upcoming drama. Since Dumas has arranged a maze for his guests, it leads to the close moment we mentioned between Nick and Phyllis. The preview shows Phyllis navigating the maze before ending up in Nick's welcoming presence. Sharon then peeks around a corner, appearing concerned about Nick reconnecting with his ex. Billy Flynn's much-anticipated debut is also featured in the promo. Flynn portrays Aristotle Dumas, a name used as a disguise for his true identity. "It's time for me to make myself known," Dumas states in the latest preview video. Amanda Sinclair will be nearby to help Dumas reveal the truth. There will be plenty of explaining once the full story emerges. It appears that Dumas will turn out to be a recast Kane Ashby, with Flynn stepping into the role to create some surprises. Y&R spoilers also suggest a potential romantic connection between Kane and Amanda, meaning Lily Winters and other guests will have quite a bit to process. This big reveal will lead to other twists as the party continues. While tensions are rising, we'll keep you updated on any dramatic moments and important conversations that are about to unfold. How are you feeling about Billy Flynn's upcoming debut? What about Sharon, Nick, and Phyllis' ongoing complicated dynamic? Is it time for Y&R to explore new directions? The Young and the Restless spoilers say several exciting developments are on the horizon, so don't miss all the action. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, June 17, show Victor helping Nikki stay positive despite a challenging situation, while Phyllis settles in comfortably. Meanwhile, Billy moves forward with his plan. It promises to be a day filled with drama, and you won't want to miss a moment in Genoa City ***. Victor and Nikki traveled to the south of France at Aristotle Dumas' invitation. They enjoyed a luxurious train ride with gourmet food and champagne. However, something unexpected must have happened because Victor helps Nikki cope with a difficult moment. Is she uneasy about the other guests who joined them on the trip, like Billy, Sally, and Phyllis, or did Dumas do something unusual? Maybe there is another cause for Nikki's concern. Phyllis was determined to attend Dumas' party. She made some important calls and pushed her way in, which is typical for her. It's no surprise she's making herself at home. Is she aware of Dumas' plans, or is this just her usual bold approach? Billy is convinced that Dumas has his sights set on Chancellor. Why exactly isn't clear yet. Also, isn't Billy planning to start his own company? He probably still sees Chancellor as a challenge, though. He has a plan. Nobody except maybe Sally knows what it is. Since Victor seems to be in the know about everything, perhaps he's aware of Billy's intentions, but hasn't revealed it yet. Now, Billy is putting his plan into action. Will it succeed, or will it face obstacles? The Young and the Restless spoilers for the next 2 weeks are here. From June 16 to 30, expect reactions to Aristotle Dumas' true identity. There is also talk of a puzzling mystery at the party in Nice. Fans can look forward to romantic misunderstandings and surprising realizations. Let's dive into what's coming up in the CBS soap opera. While Victor is in the south of France, Chelsea Lawson persuades Adam Newman to support her. In a surprising move, Adam decides not to publish the critical article about Billy Abbott. Adam knows that it's going to upset Victor, but he's agreeing with Chelsea. At least, that is what Adam tells her. Whether he follows through at the last minute is another question. Over in Nice, Dumas is quietly observing his party guests. At one point, Lily Winters feels uneasy, sensing that the night might end in an unexpected way. Victor also hints that he may already know Dumas's true identity. Before meeting Dumas, the guests must complete some challenges. One of Dumas' assistants, Carter, guides the guests through a maze. Jack Abbott has some doubts about meeting the tycoon. Meanwhile, Dumas watches everyone from a large monitor. There will be surprises when Amanda Sinclair's real connection to Dumas is revealed. During the week of June 23, fans can expect strong reactions to Dumas' identity. Meanwhile, Damian Kane could find himself in a difficult situation. Amy Lewis even experiences a chill down her spine. However, perhaps it's not Damian but someone else Amy is close to, such as Audra Charles. If Dumas is a recast Kane Ashby, presumably played by Billy Flynn, then Lily will confront her former flame. Kane will also need to explain things to Devin Winters and others. Over with Kyle Abbott, he realizes he may have fallen into a tricky situation. It seems Audra's influence is hard for him to resist. Back in Genoa City, Claire Grace Newman will be focused on Cole Howard's hospitalization. Meanwhile, Tessa Porter could learn more about Mariah's betrayal. It seems that Mariah might have made a serious mistake rather than just being unfaithful, so stay tuned. Does Adam have a plan regarding Victor? Victor, Nikki, and Nick are all headed to meet the mysterious Aristotle Dumas on the June 16 episode of The Young and the Restless. Along with Sharon, Sally, and Billy, they're all engaged in a lively guessing game of who is Dumas, which means they may be distracted from what really matters. And what's at stake? Newman Enterprises, of course, and who's left at home to manage things? We all know that Victor calls Nikki my baby, but everyone, including Nikki, knows who Victor's true priority is. It's the company he built from the ground up, with no help from anyone and always with integrity, Newman Enterprises. Victor cares deeply about it, even more than he admits about his family, no matter how much he insists otherwise. That's why he keeps hiring and letting go of his children and other relatives from key positions. No one seems to meet his high standards for running the company the way he wants. Victor is only going to France with Nikki and Nick because he wants to make sure Dumas doesn't do anything unexpected, like giving Billy, Sally, or Phyllis a chance to gain an advantage over Newman Enterprises. He left Adam in charge, confident that his younger son would handle things responsibly. Except Victor didn't expect Chelsea to encourage Adam to question Victor's decisions and challenge Billy. Adam will do anything Chelsea asks. He told her he'll handle Victor. Could that mean taking control of the company while Victor is away? What will Victor do without his baby then?